Hi, guys. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehan, and I'm super excited to be with Craig Walker, my co host here today. And we are interviewing Tom Dongo. Super excited about this. We have a lot of different things we're going to discuss here. We're going to go into a little bit about vortexes, UFOs, the paranormal, maybe a little bit about remote viewing, dowsing, what all that's about. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. It's going to be really cool. So please do your due diligence and share this, tag it. And I just want to remind everybody too that we are no longer doing full episodes on Facebook. So everything is completely over and on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and to get those notifications. And we're going to be doing this weekly now. We're going to talk a little bit about that on a different live here today, but we might need your help in figuring out a name for this show. But in the meantime, here we are, super excited. Tom and I were a part of a conference, I guess about a month ago, with lots of people. Laura Eisenhower was there, and a lot of great people. That's how I connected with him. And I'm just super excited to have you, Tom, with us, and welcome. And Craig, how you doing? You guys, how's everything going?
We made it here. So I was just thinking then, should we share the WhatsApp conversation we had about names?
Oh, yeah. Show? Yeah. Well, no, don't say what.
Not.
Yes, don't say what the names are. But yeah, I'll make a post, or we could do a video about it.
Yeah.
Get people involved. But how's it going, Tom? Thanks for joining us today.
Well, it's great to be on your show. I'm a little tired today. I've been doing a remote viewing workshop with Maureen St. Germain, and it really wears me out. But it's been wonderful fun. We're halfway through. It goes for 4 Wednesdays in a month of February, so we have two more to go. But we're having a blast teaching remote viewing. So it's been a lot of fun. I was born with a master level degree of remote viewing ability. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I love to teach remote viewing.
Wow, I'd love to learn remote viewing. So one of the topics that we've chosen for today, because obviously you've got a vast sort of vocabulary in this stuff. I mean, for me, I love all things weird and wonderful, and you just really embody that.
Well, like I tell my audiences, the weirder it is, the better I like it.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. It's like, to me, normality is just ridiculous. It's boring. I love the strange. I'm always drawn to that kind of thing. And I've been catching up on some of your material, and some of the footage and pictures you've got was absolutely mind-blowing. There's one in particular, it was like that. There was a leg in one of your pictures, like just a leg with a sandal on. It wasn't like a human foot. It was from quite a while ago, but I was just like, so if anybody wants to go and check out Tom on YouTube, there's loads of good material out there. But for today, something that Sharnael and I were talking about focusing on was this idea of vortexes that you speak about. Now, you've done a load of research on Sedona, Arizona. There's a ranch there, isn't there? If you want to talk a little bit about that, and we'll take it from there.
Well, the first 2 years I was in Sedona, I did vortex tours. I made my living doing vortex tours. So I was able to study firsthand the effects of vortexes on people. And they affected women far more than men. I would say they affected probably 70% of the women.
Wow.
And some dramatically. And then the rest were men, who were affected by the vortexes, and I don't know. There's a fellow here I live in Cottonwood, Arizona now. His name is Benjamin Lone Tree. He's a scientist. And he approaches the vortexes with a scientific. Hold on a second. I got to turn my phone off. But he approaches it with a scientific viewpoint. And he through the Schumann, resonance, he's actually been able to prove that vortexes exist. Now, whether they spin or not, I don't know. That's not, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'd rather call them energy springs, and there's only, there's there's 4 or 5 here that are real popular with tourists. And there's actually hundreds. If you go back in the canyons, I had a medical doctor that used to hire me to, when I was younger. I'm pushing 77. I'll be 77 in a couple of days. So I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that no more.
Oh, we have the same birthday, by the way. We're both February 19th, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in. I did notice. So carry on.
That's all right. I'll probably make it past 77. So anyway, yeah, he used to hire me. He was a medical doctor, and he healed with energy. He actually healed with rocks. Wow. And he was some people are super sensitive to energy, and he was. I would, in the Indian ruins around here, the Sharnael ruins. There were basically only the Sharnael was here. The Anasazi never came down this far, but most of the Sharnael ruins were built on what you might call vortexes, and so I would take him there, and I took him to one spot in the back of Long Canyon, and which is it's a long hike back there. It's I'd say about 5 miles. It's pretty rough walking. So there was one spot. He's traveled all over the world. He's everywhere in the world. And this one spot was in a Sharnael ruin, and he said he'd never experienced an energy like that anywhere else in the world. So that kind of power. Wow. So I was impressed with that, and I can feel energies too. And getting back to the vortexes, the most powerful one around here is the airport vortex. It's near the airport in Sedona, and some people, particularly women, they got even close to a vortex, and they would start shaking so bad they couldn't walk anymore. They had to stop and go back. So that it proves they do affect people. Mm-hmm. And as far as healing, physical healing, I have very few, but many emotional healings that I've seen when people spend some time in a vortex. Because I would often call them a few weeks later, and I'd say, "How are you doing?" And they'd say, that they had so many emotional problems, and they're gone. They feel much better. So it's the vortexes are real. They do affect people dramatically, but there's many of them, and I suspect they're all over the world if you can find them. Mm.
Yeah, I remember like 2000. Gosh, I wish I could remember the time or date, but I was so attracted to go to Sedona and really studying about all this vortex stuff, and went up there and did a little trek. I definitely don't have the knowledge and understanding and experience that you have for sure. But what is it? Do you think that it's like a calling almost for some to go to these places for those purposes? It seems like, because I had no knowledge about any of this. It was just like an intuition thing of just like this, you must go there. And then it was like, okay, now what is this about kind of deal? And kind of had to reverse engineer why I showed up. And, but there's a lot of different like ministry type people who are there, as well as, New Thought. Like it just seems like to be a place where all kinds of people gather and come from all different kind of spiritual walks, for whatever reason, that they're just drawn there. So what do you think about that?
Well, I've written 8 books now of various paranormal things, and what started me writing books in the very beginning was, and it's Mysteries of Sedona, and it's been in print for 31 years and it still sells, so it's been doing pretty good.
Wow.
But I talked to people. I interviewed many people that, for instance, I remember this woman executive from New York City. She said, "I've given up everything. I've given up my career. I've left my family. We sold the house, and I'm here, and I don't know why." I heard that over and over and over and over. And I spent some time with some of these people, and it seems this was probably their home at some period in the past. There was probably some kind of a crystal city here or whatever, and they felt like they were coming home. It could be they were Indians in a past life, but I don't know. My book, The Quest, which is now out of print, is my favorite book. COVID killed it. We were reprinting it, and the COVID pandemic hit, and my publisher ran out of money basically. So it's out of print forever. But it's called The Quest. You can still get it on Amazon on
Kindle.
Kindle. Yeah. So anyway, that really got me started to, I get really inquisitive about these people. And I wrote in the book, The Quest, I wrote about a lot of them. And I interviewed them and printed what they said. It's pretty amazing. These people had a very CEO kind of a job somewhere. They gave it up, and they were working in a bookstore or whatever here. And and they said it felt like home. They were coming home. So it's a real mystery.
Do you think they're sort of natural, or do you think they're made, engineered?
That's a really good question. I've questioned. I've wondered about that myself. I don't know, but there's something that the energy people need it for some reason.
Yeah,
they need it for some reason. And I've seen some amazing mental healings. People were in bad shape, and spending some time, and I would tell them, take a little red rock with you. You don't do this in Hawaii, you don't take stuff in Hawaii, but so I would tell them, take a little red rock with you and keep it in your pocket, just to keep the energy going.
Yeah.
And it really, I've seen people, it saved their lives because they were so close to suicide or whatever. They were just a mental wreck. And spending some time in a vortex, they were healed. That's the word for it.
Wow.
So there's like healing frequencies in the vortex, or maybe it undoes something at a signature frequency level with the field, with the body. There's got to be something to this, because I hear this quite often. And like you said, I think there's a lot of places in the world like this.
Yeah.
Mount Shasta is another place.
Yeah.
There's places overseas. But so how does that affect, because I know you when I first met you, or we were in that conference, I had went to go see who all the speakers were and get a little understanding about who I was going to be on with this conference. And I saw that you happened to be at a dowsing conference that weekend that I was looking for you. And I've studied muscle testing. I don't know too much about dowsing, but wouldn't that affect the energies too of, being in a vortex if you're trying to test, or how does that, what is dowsing?
Yeah, Benjamin Lonetree claims it has something to do with the Schumann resonance, and I'm really not. He's a scientist. I'm not, but he's been able to measure the energy in vortexes. So somehow that affects people. I really don't know, but it's just another mystery that we really haven't been able to solve, but it's there. It's truth.
I always make the analogy like, we come into a room and we switch the light on. We don't necessarily, certainly as kids, we don't know how it works. We just know it works.
Yeah.
And with a lot of these things, I find that's the case. That science has been so suppressed, and certainly the mainstream science. But I think it's going to catch up. All these deep mysteries that we're going to understand the science of it, and it's going to massively advance the civilization. And that's what I love about your research and what you bring. Because near me, I'm in the northwest of England, in a place called Lancashire, and there's certain areas of Lancashire that have similar things. Now there's a hill called Pendle Hill. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's famed for Pendle witches, which a lot of spiritual people gather there and go and live there. And it is I'm convinced it's a vortex. I mean, it's a big hill that you can climb up, and you go up. And I mean, I know people that have been up there and seen all kinds of different beings, shifting in and out, phasing in and out, and things. So I know this stuff's real. I mean, there were times I've been up there and I've not felt anything, not seen anything. There's other times I've been up there and it's been like hard to be there. You know, it's so powerful. Do you think it has anything to do with kind of cosmic cycles? Do you think they respond to where we are in the solar system and things like that at all?
Well, I've had big discussions with people like Maureen St. Germain. We're convinced that there's not only this world, but we probably have two neighbor worlds that are identical to this. So we're feeling the energy coming from those worlds, those parallel Earths, you know. And I've had that opinion for a long time, you know, that's a possibility. But you know what I try to do with all the stuff I've done, and I have some really strange abilities. The University of California, Berkeley, wanted me to come there and study me because I have so many remote viewing and psychic abilities and whatnot, and remote viewing especially. I was born a master remote viewer, but I can see into a human body like an X-ray machine. I've done it on hundreds of people, even medical doctors that thought I was faking it, you know. So I can scan a human body, and I've done it. Like I say, I've done it hundreds of times. And so I this one doctor, medical doctor, he wanted to test me, thought I was a real wacko, you know. So I got everything right that was wrong in his body, and I wrote him down, and I told him. He said, "Well, you missed one thing." Now, the fellow was very overweight. He was obese, and he said, "Well, you missed one thing," and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "My back." So the bottom line is, he was so overweight, he was so obese, I couldn't see through him. So I had him turn around, and I go, "Oh yeah." I put my finger right on the spot, and he goes, "Oh," like that, you know. Then I described the nerves and the veins that was wrong, you know, in his back, and I don't do this for a living. I've tried it, and I don't do it. But if I charge money for it, it doesn't work. So, you know, I used to be in restaurants, and people would come up to me because I was so well known for this. They say, "Well, you look at my bodies, you know, see if there's anything wrong with me." So I never turned anybody down. I never insulted them or anything. I always did it, you know. And so that used to happen to me all the time. It doesn't happen anymore, but I don't mind that stuff. I really don't, because it advances our knowledge, you know. But getting back to dowsing and the vortexes. No, if anything, the vortex energy around here enhances dowsing. I happen to be a master dowser, and the reason dowsing works is, if you're precise enough when you ask the question, you'll get a precise answer. You'll get the right answer. That's how dowsing works. So, anyway, you know, I'm sure certain things are enhanced around here by the energies. There's a lot of, you know, my expertise is the paranormal, UFOs, and extraterrestrials. So in this area, you know, I've been here. I think 33 years now, and it never gets boring. You know, there's always something going on, and there are extraterrestrial bases here, and I know exactly where one of them is, and it's very dangerous. And then I think there's probably another one with it. I live in Cottonwood, and Clarkdale is close to here, and I think there's either a U.S. base, U.S. military base, or it's a U.S./alien base. Back years ago, I used to have friends working with me. One was a retired CIA agent. Actually, I've been working with CIA agents for some time now, and well, there's something I was going to go with that, but I better not. So, yeah. So, but he told me about some bases here that he's a CIA operative, and he told me about a base that's here, and I said, "You got to be kidding me! I had no clue. It's a big base, and it's a U.S. base, and I know exactly where it is." So I told him, "You're kidding me," and he says, "No, I flew a jet out of there. It opens up, and he flew a jet out of there." And I said, so anyway, I said, "Aren't you a little bit afraid telling me this stuff?" And then he paused for a while, and he said, "I just don't give a blank anymore." So I okay, because he told me some stuff I won't repeat here. So but he goes around the world saving children, especially little girls. They saved about 5,000 now.
Wow.
They go in with machine guns, and in South America, Cambodia, in Thailand, in those areas, they free slave children, and most of them are girls. And he's got bullets in him still, so anyway, so let's get on with something else.
Before we drop ourselves in it too much. That's just amazing, because when you were talking then, I was just thinking, if to those that don't know, Sharnael, I've come from sort of Christian circles, and I remember talking to a lady years and years ago near where I live, and she just said to me, "I know there's angels in the hills. They're called the Garstang Hills, which are just about, I don't know, 20 miles west of us." She says, "I know, I don't know, I've seen them. I've seen sort of, in my mind, I've seen these angels come in and out of the hills. I don't understand it." Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, like, I've also heard of UFOs going into a hill and disappearing into the hill. Mm-hmm. Is this the sort of thing we're talking about here? Like a base in, I don't know, is it another dimension, or is it something where the hill is like a cloak and it goes into it and it's actually a base that the hill is like covering it? I mean, what is it?
Well, that's a good question. I've studied that. Whatever I say, I can prove. I never blowing smoke out my ears. If I talk about something, I can prove it.
Yeah.
I don't just talk. So anyway, Boynton Canyon is close to here, and they've changed it. The resort, there's a world-class 5-star resort in Boynton Canyon, and the bar used to face into the canyon, and I knew the bartenders real well. They were there all the time, and they faced the canyon. So, and I've heard this so many times. They would see a disc, 30 or 40 foot disc, fly slow right up to a red rock, the sheer wall, and fly into it. Yeah. So they have some way of changing their frequency so they can do that. But what's in the rock? What's in there? What are they doing going into the rock? So it's I've written, most of my books I've written about this stuff, and it gets real confusing. I mean, like I say, the more I know, the more confused I get.
I know the feeling.
So I mean, you can ask me about just about anything, and I've been involved in it somehow. But I did some speaking in Utah recently. The Skinwalker Ranch, the Blind Frog Ranch, and the Bradshaw Ranch here in Sedona, and then the Stardust Ranch south of. I won't have anything to do with the Stardust Ranch. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It's too strange for me. But he's telling the truth.
Want to go now?
Yeah, right. Well, no, he's had some pretty tough experiences with extraterrestrials, and I've had friends that have gone down there that have invited me to come down, and I have ability. I went to the Berkeley Psychic Institute. I have pretty amazing psychic abilities anyway, but I can probe things from a distance. And I probe. It's like radar. It's like you think of your target, and then your radar locks onto it, and then you focus on it. It takes a bit of practice, but it works. So I scanned the Stardust Ranch, and I said, I don't want to have anything to do with this place. So I've avoided that. And so anyway, there's the Bradshaw Ranch, Skinwalker, and Blind Frog. I spent 4.5 years on the Bradshaw Ranch, and it was an incredible experience. We were my new book, Merging Dimensions. It's a revised edition. Is all about the Bradshaw Ranch. We regularly. It must have been a dimensional portal there, so many strange things happen. That's probably why I'm so weird, because we probably Linda Bradshaw and I we were probably directly connected with interdimensional beings, so we could feel them moving around. There was a portal there. It got pretty famous. We had TV crews from everywhere in the world that came out there. I remember the BBC crew and the British, the UK crews are always a lot of fun.
Oh, really?
They'd all cram.
More skeptical for some reason.
Yeah. So anyway, we had Universal Studios, all the networks, NBC. I got really close with NBC. We were going to do some projects, never worked out. And Ancient Aliens was going to do a show out there, and that kind of went phooey. But we would photograph things, and my book, Merging Dimensions, those are all real photographs. They're not fake. They're not messed with in any way. Those are mainly 35 millimeter and some digital, but those are real photographs that we took on the Bradshaw Ranch. And so I'm proud of that book, because I was able to document this stuff. So anyway, I've been involved. I would like to get involved in the Skinwalker Ranch. I talked to George Knapp, Coast to Coast, quite a bit about that, and I was able to scan the Skinwalker Ranch, and it's people everywhere need to know about this stuff. And now the Blind Frog Ranch is kind of the same thing but different. And these things are so and they're developing. They're morphing. I mean, they're becoming. So everybody everywhere needs to know about these things and take and believe it. It's not, none of it's faked.
So what is you said a lot of things happen with you when you're going to these places, or things you've seen, 4.5 years on this ranch. Like, what's the craziest thing that you ever seen or experienced?
Well, the Travel Channel actually did a reenactment of this. I used to have UFOs waiting for me. I'd spend until about 1 o'clock in the morning, 4 days a week on the Bradshaw Ranch with Linda Bradshaw. Bob Bradshaw, her husband, saw a flying saucer land right on the ranch. It had hundreds of white spheres around it. And he said that's enough for me. I don't want to see anymore. So we couldn't get him to come out. Linda would go in and say, Bob, you've got to see this. You've got to come out. He wouldn't come out. He'd sit there and he wanted to watch TV, but he would never come out after that. So anyway, we got used to the super bizarre there, and we were never hurt in any way. What that stuff that was there, whatever it really was, we were never hurt in any way. And we had a pact one night, and Linda and I said, if they kill us, we're going to push this as hard as we can, because we know it's going to stop. These things always do. They end suddenly. So we did, and we pushed it as hard as we could. and nothing bad ever happened to us, never. So anyway, I would usually come out of there about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I would have UFOs waiting for me. And you know, when you see a huge ball, a sphere, 50-foot sphere, or orange, a lot of them were orange. Funny thing that a lot of the UFOs around here were orange. There's a disc inside of them. That orange or white radiance around the sphere is their power. When they're powered up, that's what makes them glow like that. So I would. One night I was coming out and the Travel Channel did a reenactment of this, and it was nice. It was a good job. So I was driving along, and I've interviewed 200 to 400 people that have had abductions or contactees. So that's a long story. If you got 3 hours, we can talk about it, you know. But yeah, right. So anyway, I'm driving along, and there was a light was following me in the trees, and it really pissed me off. That's an abduction scenario, and I said, no, you're not doing this to me, not me. Don't even think about it. And so the light was, you know, it was probably about a 30 foot across, 40 foot across white sphere. And it disappeared. So I'm good. Now I can go home and have something to eat and get some sleep, you know. So I went about another 2 miles or so, and I came around the corner, and then Doe Mesa was there. And here's a alien spacecraft sitting right there. It's about 50 feet across. It had multicolored flashing lights all around it. It had been matching my speed, and I would have met it at Doe Mesa. A million times I thought, if I'd only kept going to see who they were, because we would have met at Doe Mesa, the speed I was driving. So I made one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life. I got out of my car, looked at it, and here it is, all these multicolored flashing lights around this thing. And I said, you know, I'm just not in a mood for this kind of blank tonight. I was in a bad mood. And it stayed there for about 2 seconds. And in 1 second, it was gone over the horizon. So they've been reading my mind all along. And the Travel Channel did a reenactment of that. It was pretty good. But that was.
Is that on YouTube? Can we find that?
Yeah, probably. A lot of stuff I've been on, people can't find anymore. So YouTube must be thinning these out, because there was one I did in Hollywood that people still look for, and they say it's not there. So YouTube must have deleted a lot of this stuff.
So I was just thinking about back on Vortex again. Something just came to me before, because a lot of certainly here in the UK we have a lot of what we call sacred sites and thin places is what they call them. And people have a lot of what do you call it, where they'll go out there, what do you call it, like in a religious sense almost.
Sure.
Pilgrimage, ceremony.
Yeah, pilgrimage. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. And they'll go out and camp out there. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, but my parents went to Glastonbury. I think it was last summer for a holiday. Glastonbury is a very, very interesting place here in the UK. A lot of ley lines cross over it. Yeah. I'd love to get your take on ley lines as well, by the way. But yeah, she was having problems with her knee, like it was really sore. And there's like this, I think if I've got this right, on the hill in Glastonbury, is like a former monastery. Like a lot of these monasteries will be set up in these vortexes and these ancient sites. And obviously the UK is full of ancient monasteries. And she said she walked barefoot around it and her knee completely healed. And she was consciously engaging it, you know, and her knee she just didn't feel the pain anymore. And I just think we should know about this. We should be actively pursuing this, you know, healing and it's just frequencies, it's just vibration. But the other thing I'm a bit of a fan of Bigfoot as well, and I know.
Yeah.
We didn't plan to go here, but it's just come to me now. Are you okay with this, Sharnael?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my big things is Bigfoot and dogmen. England has probably more dogmen, and they're werewolves. They're real. Yeah, they're absolutely real.
Yeah, I've heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not. I won't harp on dogmen too long, but the absolute worst ones in this country are in the Mississippi Valley, and the worst of the worst ones are in Texas, Central Texas. And they don't really they don't go out of the way to hurt humans, but they love to scare the living hell out of humans when I know some wild stories from very credible people.
Okay, tell me about Dogman. This is the first I'm hearing about Dogman.
You know heard of Dogman? Oh.
There's a show on the internet, Vic Cundiff, Cundiff. I listened to his stories for a year. He's still on. He's running but his stories are all, he won't broadcast them unless they're credible. And some of these stories are just, I'm glad I don't live in Texas.
I've heard of lots of stories of dogmen. Yeah.
Dogman.
Yeah. Well, see this Bigfoot. I've studied Bigfoot since I was 16 years old, and now they've proved it. They proved they're here. That they're real, and they know where they are. They know how many they are. Bigfoot.
Wow.
And they're a very gentle creature. Bigfoot. But
so.
Yeah, they're a very gentle creature, and there are. I forgot his name now, but I did a talk in Vernal, Utah a year ago, and he's the world expert on Bigfoot. He's a college professor, and he proved that Bigfoot exists. So Bigfoot, they're my question, and nobody has ever been able to answer it. How can Bigfoot, and they're all around the world. I mean, there's they're Yeti in the Himalayas, but how have they dodged this as well as they have? They've got to have some kind of super intelligence, because I mean, they're photographs of Bigfoot now that are probably real. I mean, there's a whole lot of faked ones, hoaxes. People love to hoax things, and I've been caught up in some awful hoaxes. So but they're getting photographs and some video of Bigfoot now that it's real. It's not then the debunkers come along, the critics and naysayers, and that's this, that, and unfortunately they're just causing trouble. Like this Patterson Gimlin film, the guy filmed a Bigfoot running across the river. There's a new one out now. Oh, that was hoax. That was fake. Well, the experts, the world experts have proven it's not a fake because of the way the muscles work in that female Bigfoot. They say that couldn't possibly have been faked. Patterson Gimlin film. But anyway, dogmen. Luckily, they're very few in Arizona. But they're real. They're werewolves. If you go on to Vic Cundiff, I listened to his story for a year, and they're mind blowers. And some of them scared the living hell out of me.
Wow.
I mean, because dogmen and Bigfoot, they have some kind of they're from another dimension or something, and they have abilities that it drives me nuts, because I want to know how they do it. That's my thing. I've always wanted, how do they do this stuff? I want to know, so, and when I, find out about some of these things, I spread it all over the place. I don't keep anything. If I get great photographs, I never ask for money. I just put them, books or whatever. So anyway, there's a mystery of especially Bigfoot. They probably are an interdimensional creature, because I myself have seen the tracks, and boy, I got into a big argument with the professor that thinks that's BS. But I've found the tracks, and they go for 50 yards. They start and they stop.
Mm.
Well,
I have heard
that
they can phase in and out. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have to appear, materialize, and dematerialize. I mean, I've talked to so many researchers that agree with me totally. So that means they must be coming from another dimension. There's some kind of a, probably been here longer than humans have, but there's proof that they're interdimensional. Mm-hmm. So it's fun stuff.
It is very fun stuff and very fascinating. I should say,
I wanted to say, I studied the ley lines in the UK once.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Go on.
Yeah. So people really need to take ley lines in this particular. I got to tell a story in a minute. But where they cross, people would try building houses, and everything dies, and their luck, So, people need to take ley lines seriously, especially in the UK. For some reason, they're more powerful in the UK. I don't know why. But okay, here I go with my stories. You get me going on stories, and I'll never
Just
quit.
Go. I'm loving it.
I met Queen Elizabeth's personal physician here in Sedona, and he was a nice guy, young guy. But I told him, I said, I said, a ley line runs right through this house. And the house he was staying in. So he got out his dowsing rods and hit the ley line exactly where I said it was. It went through the kitchen right here, and his rods went, when he hit the ley line. So I said, that's pretty good hit, Queen Elizabeth's personal physician, for a poor old country boy like me. So anyway, yeah, okay, yeah.
So what are ley lines then?
Well, I don't know really. It's an earth energy, but they're usually only 5 or 6 feet off the ground. Mm-hmm. The ones I've ever run into is 5 or 6 feet off the ground. It's probably the life energy of the planet. It's the blood of the planet, probably.
Yeah, like veins. That's how I've heard them described before, like veins of the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen too, just with medically, how it can affect, like if your bed is in the middle of a ley line or someplace where you sit or something, how it can cause, different things, whether it's positive or negative, but, depending on who you are, what's going on, or give anxiety or, literal
cancer.
Yeah.
If you have a bed where that's one of the things that I ran across time and time again. If somebody puts a bed where ley lines cross, it's usually cancer is prevalent. It's quite common. So I would have somebody, a dowser that's familiar with ley lines, maybe move the house over 10 feet, instead of building it right there. But if where the ley lines, and they've proved where ley lines cross, everything dies. The rose bushes dies dead, where they cross. So the ley line crossing is not the best place to build something.
See, what I find interesting about ley lines is because I know that, we talk about kind of the elites and that kind of thing. Yeah. They know about this technology.
Yeah.
And they use it for their own benefit. Yeah. And I'm thinking, could we reverse that? Kind of reverse engineer the kind of the negative effect that ley lines have. Could we use it for healing, like in the Vortex, for example? What do you think?
I've been around a long time. I've studied healing methods. I've studied dozens of healing. The human brain we have a lot more power than we think. We have no idea how powerful the human brain is. And I studied so many healing techniques that, you would normally say, no, how does this work? It can't, but it does. I've seen miraculous healings, and it's the brain, the belief that's done the healing. Mm-hmm. I got a story. How are we doing on time? How much time we got?
Good. We got about 10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. But so anyway, I'll skip that, but
no, you've got to tell us now.
All right. There was this guy had a story. He said, extraterrestrials taught me how to do this. And his whole he was after 16-year-old girls. That's basically why he was doing all this stuff. Because he had a lot of 16-year-old girls working in his. He got this big building in Colorado. I got to be careful with that one. So anyway, but this stuff that he did. It's called biomagnetics, and it can't work. I mean, it's just you're poking yourself like this, but there were people there that because they believed biomagnetics worked, it worked. There was a girl. She was a pretty girl, and her bones were, she was, like this, and her bones were all disfigured, and she showed me a picture. Well, the way she was, but she showed me a picture of how she was, and it was a miracle that her bones were straightening up. She was hunched over a little bit, but she was straightening up. She was way better because she believed that the thing worked. So the guy split with a 16-year-old girl, and they had to shut the whole thing down. It's closed now. Mm. So one of my stories.
Interesting. Well, we could go on. We're going to have you back because I think there's about 19 other directions we could have went. If you're willing to come back, we'll have to get that orchestrated. But in the meantime, where can people find you? And a lot of people are even asking, do you teach remote viewing? Do you have a class on that or something? There's several people have popped in here and asking about that.
I've had hundreds of people ask me to teach them remote viewing. I don't have the time. It's so time consuming. So now I've been on worldwide radio the last 26 months. I've talked to about 80 million people, and I've talked about remote viewing. So how much time do we have left?
Like 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When you have me on, I'll talk about this stuff. But remote viewing, Maureen St. Germain and I are doing a class right now, and it's we may do another. I'm not sure, but remote viewing is incredible and it's real. I know because I was born with a master class. I can compare myself with the world's best. Ingo Swann, Russell Targ. I can do what they did, and I've proved it. I mean, I've been tested because, I'm not just blowing smoke, So remote viewing is an incredible thing. And I wish I could give away my ability to people, just a million people and get them to see like I see, because I can go to, one thing I like to do is go back 1,000 years in England, the Saxons or one of the English villages, and just sit there. I can do that. And just watch, smell the smells, the cooking and the frankincense and myrrh, and watch all the, and you can do that with remote viewing.
Wow. Amazing.
So, and I love to do that because the air is so nice and clean back then. The flowers are fragrant. The people are strange. I mean, they smell bad. I mean, they took a bath once a year back in those days in the UK. But I mean, it's you can do that remote viewing, and you can go to other planets, you can go to other dimensions, and so anyway, yeah, pay attention to remote viewing because it's very real. I have taught United States military government remote viewers my technique, and they say my technique works better than the military technique. So. I can prove that.
Yeah, well, I reckon it'd be great to have you on and do a session on remote viewing. How about that?
Yeah,
we'll do a whole show just on remote viewing. I actually took a class with John Vivanco up in a study, and I know he was trained with Russell and all those guys. And what's interesting is anyone can learn it with practice. You know, I think it's a trust thing where you start trusting yourself, and then you get more confidence, and then because we're getting so much information all the time anyway, but it's just like knowing, is this really real or am I making this up, and that kind of stuff. But what's really interesting is, obviously you kind of born into this and wired that way, and I know that some people really are. When I went to learn remote viewing, we also did a class on remote healing, and that was towards the end of the 4-day deal. And they had people who would go up on a stage, and we would all sit individually, and we were scanning people, kind of like what you were talking about earlier. And I've never tried to do that, but when I sat there, I got like 4 people in a row. And it was like literally like, okay, left toe, this, knee, that, lung issue here, blah, blah, blah. And I would just take the notes. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe, like, okay, I didn't do so great on the remote viewing part. But I don't know if because it's my medical background or just working in wellness industry and working, as a doctor. But anatomy and physiology and all that, it was like I was able to like literally do it. And I was shocked myself. I was like, I can't, I'd say, well, this is what I got. It's probably nothing. And the guy was like, oh my God, that's it. And the next person, and it builds your confidence, so I encourage people to practice, practice on one another, do these little groups. I know like in our background, with ministry type stuff, prophetic, Craig and I were in all these groups where we would have like prophetic schools and mystery schools and things where we would get together with people and we would just practice. And I worked with John Paul Jackson for years, and oh my God, he would put us to the test as constantly on our toes practicing, because it is something that you can tune into and like, get better at. But I think a whole show dedicated to just that whole remote viewing, healing, whatever, would be a great topic for a lot of people asking. Allie's on here and she said, I didn't think about remote viewing in the past. And that's another thing too. I never thought about jumping timelines or going off planet or anything for remote.
Well, here's the thing about remote viewing. Time and distance has no meaning with remote viewing. I've gone into the future. I've gone into the past. So remember that time and distance has no meaning in remote. It has nothing to do with remote viewing. You can go back in time. You can go into the future. You can okay. We got a minute left.
Yes.
Okay. I did this the other day. I've never been to Egypt. I've never been anywhere near it. It was in Maureen St. Germain's class in mine. So I thought, just for the heck of it, I'd go to the pyramid, right? The big pyramid. Mm-hmm. So I did, but I ended up down the hallway away. So I went up, and I got up there, and there's this awful smell, and I've never been to the pyramid. So I said, Maureen, did I imagine that, or is that? And she says, no, you absolutely did not, because the guides would pee in the
wow.
You were smelling the wee.
rotten urine. And so she says, no, you're absolutely right. She's been there 1,000 times. He says, no, you're right. The guides pee in the esophagus or whatever it is there, and it's brutal. And I smelled that from 10,000 miles away. You can smell things. Remote viewing, you can smell things, flowers, cooking. So it's a fun trip.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. We've got to get you back.
Well, Tom, where can we find you? Where can everybody find you? What's your website, social media, whatever, so we can, people.
I'm 12,000 emails behind right now. So I just 12,000. So, on my website, I don't maintain my website anymore. My partner inherited millions. So he was taking care of my website. So I don't even know what's on my website anymore. I haven't checked it. So, but there really isn't, if you got something super, 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 you can email me and say that, make on the header that will get my attention, because I get swamped with, like I say, I'm 12,000 behind, and I can't delete them anymore. You can't delete them anymore. You can only put them in archives. I wanted to delete them to start, so somebody's got a big computer somewhere that can handle, billions of people's emails that they don't want. But anyway.
Well, and you're on Facebook and all the, all the
different
medias too. So, well, I sure appreciate you being with us today, and I'll get with Craig and we'll get you some dates to have you back here. Craig, do you have anything final to you?
I'm just, I'm a bit gobsmacked, actually. I absolutely love this sort of topic. Like I say, I think we've barely scratched the surface. I think you bring so much information, but experience and evidence as well, which is really important. It's not just stories per se, I encourage people to check out your videos on YouTube as well. You've done whole presentations with the pictures and things, which are really, really fascinating. But I can't thank you enough for meeting with us. It's been I've been really excited about it.
Namaste, you guys.
Namaste.
All right, guys. Well, definitely check him out. Go find him. He's got some great resources, pictures, videos, lots of teachings. He's been on 59 shows already in the last 15 months or something crazy.
Yeah, 26,
26, yes. So he's very, very busy, and we're just so delighted that you took time to be with us today, Tom. And for all you guys watching, thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to be here every other Thursday at noon. And we have several things coming up that you guys are going to be really excited about. So just make sure and hit the subscribe and set your notifications so whenever things do pop up that you're aware of what's happening and you can join us, because we have fun hanging out with all of you guys. We appreciate all your energy and your beautiful comments and your questions, and just sending all you guys love. Happy birthday to these two guys coming up soon, and
19th.
Yes, and also happy Valentine's Day to everybody wherever you are. And go to swiftfire.org, get on the newsletter, and y'all have a great night. Appreciate you guys so much for a great day.
Great being on your show.
All right. Talk soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.